it's all personal. Everyone's got different situations they're dealing with, so we all have really unique challenges to our life, and uh, you know, we're I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of shit going on, so gotta figure out life.
Oh, good morning. This is Interesting to See, your daily sports podcast, news, narratives, takes, gambling. Tom Brady right there with perhaps the quote of the century, regardless of context. I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of shit going on. That's what he said to explain his absence. I am in team. Giselle got mad at him and said, you're going to go on vacation instead of doing stupid football. Which of you are married to Giselle Bundchen? Touche. I was out on Friday doing some traveling, and boy, did we miss some stuff. So we're going to jump into that, update you on some controversies, and then we're just going to review the college football weekend and what everyone should be talking about. The NFL preseason is wrapped up. College football started. A couple of controversies in the NFL. One from Thursday, we talked about Aaron Donald swinging two helmets at people in practice, in a joint practice with the Bengals, which is weird that they did a joint practice in a preseason game after they just played the Super Bowl. I think that was stupid. He can't be disciplined. He may or may not. They may find a way to pseudo-discipline him, but Myles Garrett got suspended indefinitely, and the suspension ended up being 6 games for doing that on national television. The difference is that the NFL apparently has no jurisdiction at practice, which means the Rams would have to suspend him. And are they going to suspend their best player of all time and one of the best players of all time? No, absolutely not. So that happened. The other thing is the Bills punt god Matt Araiza was accused in civil court of participating in a gang rape of a 17-year-old girl. I will tell you, I'm not going to go through the details of the situation, but they are incredibly bad. And I'm starting to notice after doing this show and just being a sports fan, there are essentially 3 types of domestic or sexual allegations against a high-level athlete. Type 1 is where it seems like maybe this is more smoke than fire. Maybe this is a shakedown, and that could include like the Laramie Tunsil thing when he was caught smoking weed. Patrick Kane was kind of shaken down. The Duke thing didn't make any sense. Type 2 is where it's the gray area of just all relationships between people where could something have happened? It seems like it for sure. Is it against the law? Is it bad? And you think about like Tyreek Hill, how Ray Rice was still with his fiance who he punched out in an elevator, where it's a lot more complicated. Something bad happened, and you definitely believe the victims, but it's kind of a weird thing. And then the third type, which is they pretty obviously did what they're accused of doing. Deshaun Watson's a great example of that, and Matt Araiza's situation is bad. So the Bills cut him. The NFL and NFL fans are absolutely furious because I remember when Matt Araiza was being drafted, why is he falling down draft boards? And we know now that the Bills knew that this accusation was out there, and the details of it, like I said, are horrific. She was 17. He admitted to having sex with a 17-year-old, so whether or not he'll be charged with statutory rape and just other kinds of rape, it remains to be seen. But Matt Araiza, the punt god, biggest leg maybe in history, will probably never punt ever, anywhere, ever again. So that happened on Friday. Got to address that. There's not much else to it. BYU volleyball had an insanely racist fan in the stands. They were using the N-word racial slur at the lone African-American woman on Duke's team. BYU then released a lengthy statement that was really good and apologetic, but the fan was never kicked out. He was saying things like, you better watch your back when you get on the team bus. Duke's security guard, and I think that Provo police were helping Duke make sure this was going to happen. The guy has been banned from BYU athletics, but people are saying it's not enough. How come he didn't get kicked out? I kind of agree. And the person there was a fan, not a student, which, whatever. I mean, I don't know what to make of that either. Okay, so let's get into football. Nebraska Northwestern earnestly kicked off the season, a Power 5 conference matchup that matters a lot. Scott Frost lost. Nebraska lost to Northwestern. As the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Scott Frost has won 15 games and lost 29. 20 of those 29 losses have been by one score, including this one to Northwestern. Nebraska was cruising, and then right before the end of the half, instead of kicking it deep after a score, I believe a touchdown, they did an onside kick. Northwestern scores. Northwestern goes on to win, and I cashed my first bet in a long time because I can't bet in the state of North Carolina legally. Felt really good. when I was traveling to be able to bet. That was awesome. Cool stuff from the college football weekend. I just get out. I'm a little bit under the weather today. Had this cup snake. Here's the cup snake from the Nebraska Northwestern game. Take a look.
Into the sousaphone, which would be a
Look
problem.
how big that is. So what happened at the Nebraska Northwestern game was the Wi-Fi at Aviva Stadium, which is this gorgeous monument to sports, mostly soccer and rugby, in Dublin. It's reasonably sized, like 35,000 people. I mean, Dublin is not an enormous city like, say, Dallas is with their 100,000 person stadium, but the Wi-Fi was down, so they were just giving away food and beer. They were like, fuck it. Have a good time. And Nebraska was like, sure, love to. I would absolutely love free beer, yeah. I'm sure that there's going to be some sad stories that came out of that, like people getting too wasted in some fights and whatnot. But the Cup Snake, it looked like a great big party, a great big celebration of college football, which is awesome. I love that. So the FAMU, Florida A&M University, a historically black college in Florida, they are one of the HBCs and other Division I AA or FCS or what do they call the sort of D1 schools now. They don't have a lot of money. And they've recently found out that the academic counselor, who was also like a coach or something, they recently found out like 20 or 30 of their football team, including multiple starters, like huge portions of starters, were academically ineligible at the beginning of the year, which was like, fellas, the school started like a week ago. What are we doing? Maybe it was from last year, but what the fuck? Are you serious? Anyway, it looked like FAMU was like they're either going to have to bend on their policy or they're going to have to cancel with North Carolina. North Carolina was paying them over, I think, $600,000 to come up to Chapel Hill and get their ass kicked. And do some cool celebratory stuff, which we'll get into here in a minute. But it turns out that FAMU, they went up there, they did it, they got the guys in the bus, which you got to do. I mean, like that rock and a hard place situation. You got to ignore academics for these players because you won't have an athletic department if you don't play UNC. That's how people's salaries are going to get paid. They have to have the cash. USC could have a heart and just give it to them. I mean, I don't know why these major universities don't just like buy athletic programs. I don't know why like Notre Dame and Texas don't just like buy one of these HBCs and be like, all right, like we will fund you. You are required to do this in affiliation with us. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. You have all the money, and like none of these colleges really ever spend it. Okay, so FAMU, HBCs, for the most part, have these insane bands. North Carolina also has a really good band. It's like Battle of the Bands, which I think is Grambling and Nichols. It could be wrong. Maybe it's Grambling and Jackson. Battle of the Bands, awesome. So FAMU came to UNC, and they had both bands had been practicing a number, and so they did it together. And I think FAMU probably taught the UNC kids a thing or two, but it was pretty cool to take a watch or listen, I guess. So many people on the field right now. This is dope. They're dancing and stuff. This is dope. Look at these kind of crossovers. It looks like like an in-sync kind of footwork thing. Maybe, I don't know, dancing. This is awesome. College football is cool. So that was worth it. Everyone's like, leave the football team at home. Just do like an hour and a half of a concert. That was sick. Most of the time, college bands are like, yeah, whatever. But every now and then, you get a performance where I remember when I was in Ole Miss, Texas A&M came to town, and those are like military men. They can march like that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And of course, Battle of the Bands is sick too. All right, NFL football. It looks like Mitch Trubisky is going to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It looks like Joe Flacco is going to start the season for the Jets. We'll see if Zach Wilson is ready to go. That was kind of an interesting thing that people were paying attention to. It is now time to do your fantasy football draft. This is the time when you're going to want to do it right now. Looks like we've escaped a lot of the injuries. Oh, yeah, shit, I totally forgot about this. Something crazy happened. Brian Robinson, who was a really good running back at Alabama, they have two kinds of running backs. One kind of running back is a guy that like just tortures your college football fandom for like 5 years, and then the other one is like you totally forgot that he even played, and he only played for like a season, and then he goes to the NFL and he's sick. T.J. Yeldon. Brian Robinson Jr., former running back at Alabama and now a rookie for the Washington Commanders, and a guy that has just been really jaw-dropping at camp, was shot 3 times in attempted armed robbery and carjacking in Washington, D.C. Apparently, he is in stable condition. The gunshot wounds were non-life-threatening. I have not seen an update on what's going to happen in terms of, like, is he going to be able to play? but that is just crazy. He was carjacked or attempted. Man, what a bummer. That's terrifying and this utter bullshit, and I hope they catch the guys, and I hope he's okay, dude, obviously. Like, that sucks, and it's kind of scary, to be honest. I absolutely hate that. Tom Brady, like we said, he said he was on vacation, but Aaron Rodgers was the other guy that he went on Joe Rogan, which I can't believe that hasn't happened yet, and boy, did he say some stuff. He did say that he intentionally misled reporters to make them think he'd been vaccinated when he'd only been, quote, immunized. He also said this.
Did they make sure you weren't playing on that stuff?
No, you played, definitely. Yeah.
Wow.
A Percocet.
And what did you ever play on it?
Yeah.
What did you play on?
Percocet.
And what did they make?
So the quotes from this podcast are going to be neato. I'll tell you right now. They've been all over the internet, and maybe we'll play some, maybe we won't. I think it's a little overkill myself. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay. Hard Knocks tomorrow. We'll do a preview. It'll be one of the last Hard Knocks. Then we've got college football really starts this Thursday. I forget who plays when, but we've got a couple big games, a couple boring games, and yeah, sports are here, which is exciting. Rory McIlroy won the FedEx Cup or whatever, $18 million. Shouts to Rory, and now that he won and he did his due diligence for them, maybe he will go ahead and head to the LIV.
Ordinary PGA Tour season. It is Rory McIlroy with his extraordinary talents that wins a third FedEx Cup title.
Third one for Rory, 18 big ones in the bank. That's going to do it for Intro to See. Back and better than ever tomorrow morning.